Welcome to Tyler Medeiros TV. In today's video, we get into a truly terrifying story. But before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more content. The story begins 5 years ago, when one man's holiday season took a terrifying turn when a simple Christmas ornament became the gateway to a chilling nightmare. Whispers in the night, strange movements, and dark presence that wouldn't let go. This holiday season, we uncover the terrifying story behind an innocent-looking ornament and the curse it carried. Welcome to Tyler Medeiros TV, where the line between holiday cheer and spine-chilling horror is thinner than you think. Tonight we dive into a story of a Christmas curse that haunts a man to this day. So sit back, turn off the lights, and let's explore what happens when you bring home more than just holiday spirit. 5 years ago, a man would have a terrifying experience when what seemed like a simple holiday decoration turned into a terrifying nightmare. After purchasing an antique ornament, a man's holiday season took a dark, chilling turn. Whispers in the night, objects shifting on their own, and a terrifying presence that followed him. Continue watching as we uncover the sinister past of this seemingly innocent ornament. 5 years ago during the holiday season, one man learned that some objects are better left undisturbed. It was December when Ellington Matthews, a man who loved everything about Christmas, the decorations, the music, the cheer, found himself in an old dusty antique shop on the outskirts of town. The kind of place you almost had to stumble into. Hidden away from the main road, with shelves stacked high and everything covered in a thick layer of dust, it was the perfect spot for vintage holiday decorations. And that's exactly what Ellington was looking for. As he browsed, his eyes landed on an ornament that stood out among the cluttered shelves. Glowing faintly with gold and red swirls, it was nothing extraordinary at first glance, but Ellington felt an inexplicable pull toward it. There was something almost magnetic about the ornament, like it was calling him, urging him to take it home. The shopkeeper, an elderly woman who seemed to have lived in the shop for decades, mentioned that the ornament had belonged to an old family who once lived nearby. She told him it was a rare find and a piece that had been passed down through generations. It seemed like an innocent enough purchase, a beautiful addition to his tree. So he thought. He didn't know then that this seemingly harmless decision would be the beginning of a nightmare that would haunt him for years. When Ellington arrived home, he immediately unpacked the ornament and placed it at the top of his Christmas tree, right next to the star. It was a perfect fit, a beautiful piece that would shine brightly in the tree's soft twinkling lights. The festive atmosphere filled the room, and Ellington couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction as he stepped back and admired the tree. But that night, something felt off. At first it was just a faint whisper. Ellington was in the living room wrapping gifts when he thought he heard someone calling his name. He froze for a moment, telling himself it was nothing. The wind must have been knocking against the windows, or maybe it was the sound of the house settling. But then it came again. The voice was soft, distant, but unmistakable. He turned toward the tree, but there was nothing there. He dismissed it and chalked it up to his imagination. After all, it was late and he was tired. He convinced himself he just heard the sound of the house creaking, or perhaps the wind outside. But as the days went by, things began to escalate. Objects in the house began to shift. It was small things at first. His favorite vase moved from the mantel to the edge of the coffee table, just barely hanging off of the edge, as if someone had been playing with it. Picture frames were found turned sideways, books rearranged on their shelves. He thought maybe he was just distracted, or perhaps a draft was making the objects move. But something told him it was a lot more than that. Then came the shadows. One evening as Ellington sat in the living room, he noticed a shadow moving along the wall. At first he thought it was just a trick of the light, the kind of illusion you get from a flickering candle or a passing car outside. But when the shadow moved again, this time more deliberately, his heart skipped a beat. It was too deliberate to be a trick of light. It wasn't just the shadows. He began hearing whispers at night, Low, faint voices that seemed to come from the direction of the tree. The whispers seemed to always just be out of reach, like they were a distant echo, but they never stopped. He tried to ignore it, tried to tell himself he was just stressed with the holidays, maybe even a little overtired. But the whispers grew louder, and the shadows grew darker. Something was wrong. He could feel it deep inside his bones. One night as he walked into the living room to check on the tree, he noticed something horrifying. The ornament, the one he had placed on the top of the tree, was no longer in its original position. It had shifted, moved down a few branches, closer to the middle of the tree. Ellington's heart began to race, and his hands trembled as he reached for it, thinking maybe it could have been knocked down. But as soon as his fingers touched the ornament, a surge of cold energy rushed through him. It was like an electric shock, but colder. The lights in the room flickered, and a strange icy gust of wind swept through the house, extinguishing the candles and throwing the room into darkness. Ellington stumbled backwards, shaken to his core. The whispering intensified, becoming urgent. He ran to the door to leave, but when he opened it, he saw something he would never forget. Standing in the hallway was a shadow, tall and thin, its form indistinct but full of menace. It didn't move. It just stood there, watching him. Terrified, Ellington fled, but the whispers followed him. They were inside his head, surrounding him, pressing down on him like a weight. He couldn't escape them. In panic, Ellington did some research. He needed to understand what was happening. That's when he uncovered the tragic history of the ornament. It had belonged to a woman named Eleanor Shaw, a widow who had lived in the town nearly a century ago. Her family had disappeared one winter under mysterious circumstances, leaving behind only an old journal that detailed strange rituals and warnings. One of the final entries read, "The spirit is trapped in the ornament. Do not let it leave." Ellington's blood ran cold. The presence haunting his house, it was tied to that ornament. He had unwittingly released it when he took the piece home. The curse was real. Determined to end it, Ellington took the ornament far from his home, to a remote spot in the woods. He buried it deep in the earth, praying that would be enough to break the curse. As he filled the hole, he could have sworn he heard a faint whispering once more. But this time, it was softer and distant. Now that was years ago, and every Christmas since, Ellington feels it again. The chill in the air, the whispers at the edge of his hearing. Sometimes when the wind blows just right, he wonders if the spirit is still out there, watching. And every time he walks into an antique store, he feels the pull. He wonders if he'll ever truly escape the haunting of the Christmas ornament. Was the curse really broken? Or does the dark presence still linger, waiting for its next victim? One thing's for sure, some objects are better left undisturbed. Thanks for watching, and remember, if you've ever felt something strange lurking in your home, be careful. You never know what you might take home this holiday season. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a spine-chilling tale. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your doors locked. This is Tyler Medeiros TV, where the stories are dark and the truth is even darker.